By request, my look at the final version of Zorin OS number 15, the Ultimate Edition. Let's take a look. Alright, so this was a full install test, one of my outdated machines, a Lenovo dual core with 6 gigs of RAM. Just to let you know, you can get more information off of ZorinOS.com. There are different versions of Zorin OS, but first a brief look at the accolades. Praises from Forbes, CNET, TechRadar, PC World, unanimous. Zorin OS is clean, polished, one of the best, offering a friendly experience to those coming from Windows or Mac. If you have an older machine, I would take a look at the light version of Zorin OS. Like I said, I ran the standard or the Ultimate Edition on my outdated Lenovo. It was 100% stable, but yeah, speed, GNOME Desktop is not known for its speed. However, this was completely stable in my tests. However, with multitasking, multi-windows open, you can see video here, it somewhat sputters a little bit. That is no fault of Zorin. That's just the way the GNOME Desktop is. It is just not a light desktop. But you know what? I didn't care. I didn't matter. This ran beautifully overall, quite stable. The Software Center, if you played with the GNOME Desktop before, you've seen this before, quite friendly for those newbies coming from Windows. I did like the default theme, colors, icons. You can change this from light to dark or automatic, and we'll get to that in a moment. The file manager, I did change the colors from the default color to this teal greenish color. Just a matter of preference. Again, Linux in general is highly customizable once you get to learn how to play with a Linux desktop. System requirements. Well, the Ultimate Edition in my dual core machine with 6 gigs of RAM was not particularly zippy, but I already knew that, so it didn't matter. Like I said, if you have an older machine, check out Zorin OS Lite or the Education Edition of Zorin, designed for older machines. Minimum requirements for this edition should be at least a quad core with 4 gigs of RAM, in my opinion. Now, this has a modified version of GNOME, that is, with the application menu and a dashed panel type of setup here that works quite well. These extensions worked perfectly in my test, and they are designed for beginners, and this is how the GNOME Desktop should be, in my opinion. Now, this is the Ultimate Edition, so this has everything you would need to get started, including, of course, some games, Linux-based games. For graphics, we have the GIMP image editor, fantastic program for both Windows and Linux. This is what I use sometimes to create some of the logos for the Total OS Today channel. For Internet, Firefox by default, and an interesting newsfeed reader, Liferia. I've tested this before a long time ago. It actually works quite well, but I prefer to use the Ticker news app that you've seen on the live shows. Sound and video, again, this is Ultimate, so this has everything you need, audio, visually speaking, to get started, including a green recorder, which I wasn't that too familiar with. I may have tested this once, but I can't remember. But that's what I use to record the desktop green recorder. Handbrake is installed. OBS, very nice. I did install the Pulse Audio Volume Control, and of course VLC is also installed. Let's take a look at the Zorin Appearance application. This is quite customizable and quite themable, very easy for beginners. If you take a look at the themes, you have 3 setups here: light, automatic, day to night, and night to day, as long as you turn on location services, and a dark theme. I tested all 3 themes, all 3 backgrounds. It worked quite well. As you can see, I had the teal color checked. The panel, you can go top or bottom, and I prefer it at the top. Again, quite simple if you are coming from a Windows machine. The super key, I set it for activities. Take a look at some settings here. Some privacy settings here. Again, pretty basic stuff, self-explanatory. My display rather, 1920 by 1080. And the details about my machine, a Lenovo 6 gigs of RAM, outdated processor, yeah. But it worked. So I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10 because it's stable, and I will recommend anything that is stable. So check out Zorin number 15 Ultimate Edition. This one is not free. It will run you about $39.99. And is it worth it? I think so. Check it out. I will have all the links below in the show notes. Take care.